Tragic Magic, written by Thal Dixon, illustrated by Mikey Brooks, read by the author. My life's turned kind of tragic since I messed around with magic, and my house has turned completely upside down. My left elbow keeps on itching, I've got spiders in my kitchen, and the neighbors want to run me out of town. It started Wednesday evening when I climbed up in my attic. I was sifting through the piles of useless junk. I could hear a muffled popping, and I saw a pile hopping when I moved the clothes I found an ancient trunk. Even though I felt I shouldn't, I was never told I couldn't, so I opened up the trunk to have a look. I was hoping for a treasure, but inside, to my displeasure, there was nothing but an old and dusty book. I prepared myself to take it, being careful not to break it, but when I reached in, the book just disappeared. Then the clothes all started walking, and it seemed the trunk was talking, saying I'd regret the day I interfered. My life's turned kind of tragic since I messed around with magic. I have alligators in my swimming pool. Now at first what seems exciting, and can often be inviting, may destroy the very things that keep us cool. When I woke up Thursday morning, I thought only of the warning that the ancient trunk expressed the night before. I jumped up and started changing, but my room was rearranging, so I grabbed my hat and headed out the door. When I found my parents missing, there was no way of dismissing that the magic from the ancient trunk was real. I regret that I disturbed it, even more that I perturbed it, and I wish there was a way I could appeal. With the house no longer silent, I discovered something violent. It was goblins fighting in my living room. There were bats up on the ceiling, and I got a sinking feeling that the ancient trunk would bring me to my doom. The outside doors were locked, and all the windows had been blocked since our bushes all moved in to form a wall, leaving no chance for escaping. Even jungle vines were draping from the chandelier that's hanging in the hall. I was starting to go manic, but there was no time for panic while I suffered through this magical attack. If the only way to fix it was to find the book to nix it, I would nab the dusty book and put it back. By that evening I was worried, and I felt extremely hurried as I tried to find the book and set things right. Since my parents have gone missing, there's no hugging and no kissing. I have no one left to tuck me in at night. I had tried to do some cooking in between my frantic looking, since I hadn't eaten anything all day. But while looking in the sink, I felt my stomach quickly shrink, finding roaches, ants, and worms to my dismay. I continued with my searching, but behind me there was lurching a large zombie with a bandage on his head. But before the thing could stop me, as it swung a club to drop me, I dove quickly through the doorway up ahead. As I tried to get some shut-eye, I could only think of what I did to get myself into this awful spot. And I tried to piece together why this curse of gloomy weather had combined upon this small suburban lot. My life's turned kind of tragic since I messed around with magic. Now some neighbors stand protesting on my porch. They keep screaming for some quiet. Now my house is in a riot. I saw one man with a pitchfork and a torch. Now I'm feeling like a grouch because I woke up on my couch where last night I stopped to only take a break. But I guess I was so tired that my body just retired. All this craziness is more than I can take. I remember neighbors screaming late last night while I was dreaming, and I think a crowd has gathered in our court. With the howling, growls, and yelling, there is just no sign of telling if some creatures have been chasing them for sport. As I face a frightening Friday, I just hope that things go my way. I could use a day when luck is on my side. There's a goblin in the closet that has made a foul deposit. If you smelled it, you would think that something died. There's a dragon in my bedroom, and he made some extra headroom when he punched right through my ceiling with his claw. All the neighbors keep on squawking, so the cops are outside knocking. Sheriff Johnson is convinced I broke the law. My life's turned kind of tragic since I messed around with magic. Sheriff Johnson came inside to take a look. Though I tried to stay behind him, now it seems I cannot find him. He just vanished, and a blink was all it took. Like a vision from the skies, I saw the ultimate surprise. It was the old and dusty book to my delight. Lying on the coffee table, I was sure that I was able to secure it if I only did it right. It was time to get my groove on. I would have to get a move on if I had a chance to fix this awful mess. There was no time left for doubting. On the porch, the cops were shouting, I'm just not equipped to deal with this much stress. As I bound ahead to grab it, I fell short to only jab it, and the book began to fly into the air. Then I realized how to trap it was to use a broom to slap it, and it landed in my father's lazy chair. It was just like I had shot it. With it stunned, I finally caught it. Now the dusty book was mine with all its spunk. With my legs in automatic, I ran right back to the attic, and I placed it back inside the ancient trunk. My life's turned kind of tragic since I messed around with magic, and I really think I've paid a heavy price. From the chaos and destruction to the sheriff's strange abduction, there are things within this world that aren't so nice. As I closed the trunk up tight, there was another flash of light, and the house became as quiet as a church. I could hear no creatures jumping, and could smell no goblins dumping, so I headed down the stairs to start my search. When I smelled my mother's cooking, I knew just where I'd be looking, so I found the kitchen door and peeked inside. And instead of roaches hissing, both my parents stood there kissing. They were clueless to the fact I almost died. Well, it seems I learned a lesson from my snooping and my messing. I'm just thankful that my life has been restored. Now when snooping seems exciting or things look a bit inviting, I've remembered that it's safer to be bored. Thank you for joining us today at Kids Poetry and Storytime with Thal Dixon. Want to know when we upload a new video? Hit subscribe and be one of the first.